So when we left off yesterday, let me see, I don't have a terminal going, so let me start a terminal. CD into my SU24 final app so I can get this up and running. npm run dev to get my server started. Up and going. We left off here to where we could search for students. Did you say you're having issues over there?
No, I got it.
Okay. So now we should be able to add a student. And that's kind of where we left off in yesterday's video, so we'll go ahead and pick that up today. We're going to add a few more things on here. We have the create part of our CRUD stuff done. We're going to do the read part next, and then probably the delete part after that since it's easier. And then we'll follow up probably tomorrow with the update part, and then figuring out how to put it out live on the internet. And then you guys will have everything you need for your final project at that point. It should be ready to go. So refresh that. Not that it matters because we're going to be changing stuff around. So like I said, we are going to add the read part on it, which is the search. First thing I want to do is I want to change a few things around just to clean some stuff up. If you go into index.css, I'm going to put image max width at 300 pixels. That way when we shrink our stuff down, it's not giant sized. Go ahead and save that. On add student. Let's see, I think it's yeah, that's what we want. So in app.jsx, down here and where we're creating our card and stuff like that, I'm going to change, where's the image at? Our image here, I'm going to call this class name equals card image top. Man, my fingers do not want to work yet today. MX auto, and of course that MX auto just means it'll auto size it to what it needs to be. And then down in here with the class name, we're going to use more Bootstrap here and just do text center. Save that. Not like getting an error on CSS stuff. unexpected token 8851. Text center. Oh, I forgot my little single quote there. I'll clean that up. Should save it, and there we go. We open our students, we bring this down. You can see how the names all stay centered now, and the images are a reasonable size there. That's all that did there. So to get started on this next part for the read, we need to create some text boxes again. But first, before we get to that, we're gonna, to give us more things to search by besides just first name and last name, we're gonna go ahead and put a year on here. So I feel like I'm missing something on here. Yeah, it didn't seem like it saved everything. Hang on one second. So we will go to our add student here, and we are going to be adding a grad year to it to give us something else to search by. So we're going to be able to search by first name, last name, and now graduation year. So we'll do a constant, and again these hooks are arrays. So we'll do grad year, set grad year, set our use state. We'll just set that to blank. Come down here and just go ahead and copy our email one, or you can copy your first name or last name, whichever one you want to do. I'll just put it right above the button. I'll say HTML text for grad year. We'll say graduation year here. Our type is going to be a text. ID will be text grad year. Our placeholder will be graduation year. Class name form control, our on change, we're going to set our grad year. And our value will be grad year. So pretty easy, just a few changes on there. Our grad year stuff you can see now is not underlined and it's highlighted bright, so we know we're using it. Next thing we want to do is our do work down here. For our do work function, we need to add that.
Oh, so did you change your class name to graduation year?
The class name?
Yeah.
I left the class name at form label and then form control on the input type. And because of using this bootstrap grid, and they have to all equal 12, of course, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 14, so that's not going to be the right size, so we need to switch that to a 2 in order to make them all fit right on the one row. You good with your changes, or do you need a second?
I'm gonna do a second.
Okay, I'll pause the video for you. Alright, so now that we have the HTML place, we have to add it into our function here, this do work function, so we can actually go get it. So here we'll put a comma, just like we did the other ones, and we'll do grad year, colon, and then grad year. Making sure we get everything set up right.
So I put the colon grad year, but I got an error on the colon itself. Like a part-timer.
An error on what?
On the colon I put it after the grad year. Line 16. Yeah, over there.
So you got it in quotes, and then the colon outside of the quotes, and then grad year. I'll take a look with you. Now that we got that done, let's go back and look at our app.jsx file. We have our container row, our search results stuff. And then right under this add student here, we're going to put our text boxes in that, and our drop down for our search that we're getting ready to create. So we'll do a div class name equals, and we'll do a row with some margin at top 4. Inside that div, do another div, say column medium 4. Just need class name equals, there we go. Close that. So then inside that div, we're going to put a label in there, and we'll say label HTML4, and we'll say text keywords, and we'll say search by first or last name. Our label closes for us. Next line, we're going to do an input, and we'll do input type equals text. Class name equals form control. And I am having a hard time typing today. Placeholder, I'm just going to say search first or last name. And we're going to end up having an on change event here. And let's hold off on that for a second so we don't break more than we need to. So now we have should have a text box there if we go out and look at our web page. And you can see down here we have our text box that we just created. So next thing we're going to do is add a drop down list. Let's see, we want it at 4 there, close that div. So we'll put it right under that div there. So that's the closing div for our label and input. So right after the closing div for our label and input, we'll do a div class name equals cal 4, cal medium 4. And inside there, we're going to put a select box. So we'll do select value. And our value is going to end up being our grad year. And then we're going to do a class name. Class name is going to be form select. And inside the select, we're going to do an option. Give it a value of blank. And then say select year. Grad year's not happy because we don't have anything in there yet. Let's see if that breaks it. Control S. And it does. So I'm going to take that out for the moment. So we'll just do it like that. That should allow us to. There we go. Now we can see we have a select box there. We don't have any values or anything in it yet. We'll get to that. Now the last thing we need is a button for that. So right after that closes, we'll do another div class name equals cal medium 4. Put our button in here. We're doing a type equals button. And really we should be doing a select here with the button or some kind of, or a submit I should say. We should be doing something like that with the button. But seeing as we're not sending this to any pages or anything like that, we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to use a button type of button to get it to work the way we need it to work for this application. When you get more into Mr. Gubinstead's class and you actually start using a database and a back end and start sending things around to different pages, you'll end up using like submit button type more than you will button type. So this is just to get our stuff to work. Don't have to worry about sending anywhere, causing any issues or anything like that. So button type button, we'll do class name equals button primary. And then we'll eventually have an on-click event here. We'll say search students. We'll save this and go look. There we have our add students, save students. Go there, open that back up. So far so good. Everything's looking like it should. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to have to create a search for the students. It's gonna be some work involved, so let's go ahead and we'll scroll up with our other. Let's take this add student while we're at it down here. Right below our seed data, we have a function called add student. Let's cut that out of there. And we'll move it up to the top and keep all of our methods up here at the top. Actually, let's start. We'll do a save student because we'll need this too. Well, actually, let's create a couple hooks for what we got going on. So we'll do constant, and we're going to do search results to get our search stuff prepared. Search results, set search results. We'll do use state. And we're just going to make that null for now. And then we'll also use keywords. Set keywords. And that way, as we do these searches, we can have our keywords set to nothing. And then as we type stuff in looking for keywords, we can set our keywords for what we're going to be looking for. So we'll just do a use state. And we'll leave that blank. So to get rid of this button, and have it automatically show up our students, I think what we need to do is create a constant, and we'll call it save students. We're going to pass it the students. Give that an arrow function. And we'll set all students. Pass in the students. And I think look here. So what we can do now to get rid of that button there on the front is we can put a comma up here in our import, and we're going to import use effect. And we did that last week in that to-do list. This use effect allows us to do some different effects, stuff like that. We are going to, right under here, we'll do use effect, and then parenthesis, and then arrow function. So this is a anonymous function. We're going to say save students. Pass the students back. After the curly bracket, we're going to put a comma, and then we're going to put an array to hold everything. And then a semicolon. And then we should be able to go down and comment this line out here. So if you go inside your squiggly, put a slash and a asterisk and a asterisk and a slash, that should comment that line out for us. So let's save this. There we go.
And you said the where it has the exclamation point all student.
Yeah, the exclamation all student. It starts with that curly bracket there. So like right inside that curly bracket, put a slash and a asterisk.
Yeah.
So what this is remember these curly brackets saying you can use JavaScript or HTML inside of them. So now we're going to comment out that line of code by putting that slash asterisk in the front, and at the very end of it, right before the curly brackets, we're going to put the asterisk slash. Yeah, that's just a JavaScript comment. So we're commenting at that line out. So if you save that now and go back and look at your code and hit refresh, your student should be up there all the time without that button and stuff like that. Yours working like that?
Yeah.
Good. So now we don't have to worry about that button anymore. We should still be able to add a student. Still able to add our student, so that's a good thing there. We don't have any functionality behind our search yet, so I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. So now that we did that, let's work on our search. So we'll go back up here. Under our add student, we're going to create a function, a constant called search students. Going to make an arrow function. We're not passing any parameters in, so we can just put the parentheses there. Do our curly bracket. There's going to be a lot to this one, so we'll start off by declaring a variable of a let, call it keywords array. So we're going to make an array of keywords. We're going to take these keywords, oops, my bad. We're going to make it an array. We'll just leave it empty. And then we'll say if keywords and this is just like an if statement we've done in C# and JavaScript. We're going to say keywords array equals keywords to lowercase, oops, local, to lowercase and split. We worked with the split in our JavaScript part of it. That split, it just says any keyword typed in, go find the blank space in between them, split it there, and then add each one of those words before and after the space into the array that we're searching for. Does that make sense? So just like we did in C# when we were doing searches in C#, we're taking whatever they give us as a keyword and we're making it lowercase, so we don't have to worry about if it's uppercase, lowercase, anything like that. We know it's going to be lowercase. It'll make it easier to find. And so we'll do that. keywords up here. Keywords, yep. So keywords is now being used, so you can see our red squiggly went away, and it's a little bit brighter than search results and set keywords because those aren't being used yet. So next thing we need to do is we're going to search for this grad year. And actually, before we get going on that, let's go to our students and add this grad year. And grad year, you can make it whatever you want. What is this, 2024? So we'll say they're going to graduate in 2024. We just have to add these in on all of them. 2024, 2024. We'll say 2025. 2026. 2024. 2025. 2027. 2026. 26. So if we save that and now go look at our students. Huh. Oh, we got to go down here. Do an li dot class name list group item text center, and we're doing grad year, so we'll do student dot grad year, close this li. Should be able to save that. And now if we look at our students, we should have a grad year for the students now that we added that. We set it. Okay. Yeah, after the image, you put a comma in and then the grad year. Alright, so got our grad year showing. Got our search started. Alright, students working. So let's continue on with our search logic here. So back on that search students method or function that we started creating, we got the if the keywords are there, take the keywords, put them in an array, split them by the space in between them. Then we'll put another if in to check for the grad year. If there's a grad year, keywords array equals keywords. Or actually, we'll just do a push grad year to string. Spelled array wrong there. And what that's going to do is just take, if they put the year on it, they're going to push it to the end of the grad year, make it a string, and that way as we do our searches for our drop down, it will populate for us. Grad year is not defined. So grad year is not defined. Let's add a hook up here for that. Grad year set grad year. Just leave that blank. So grad year's happy now that we declared it up here. And now what we're going to do is another if statement. And this if statement is going to walk through our array and search for our students and filter out the students that are not in our search. So we'll start with if keywords array dot length is greater than 0, keywords, oops if I spell it right, keywords array is greater than 0, we'll do a constant and say search results equal all students dot filter parenthesis student arrow function we're going to do a for loop in here. We'll do constant word of keywords array. So this is just looping through our array, our keywords array. We're declaring the variable word for each of the words in the keywords array, just like we did in C# when we would loop through a lot of the arrays in there. We could use that for loop, or the for each, I guess technically it was in the C# stuff.
If I remember correctly, we also use it for a list as well.
Yep. And since a list and an array are pretty much the same things, that's why you could do it that way. So then we'll do our curly bracket, another curly bracket, and inside that one we'll say if, and then we'll say student dot first name. I'll kind of explain this better as we kind of finish it up. Case dot includes word or the two pipe symbols. Student dot last name to lowercase includes word or, so here we're checking for first name and last name. So if our word variable out of our keywords array includes the first name or last name, then we want it to show positive. Student.grad year. And we're going to triple equal them, and we're going to do a parse int. This is kind of messy with the parse int because we're going to change it to a string because it's a string technically up here. So we're going to parse it into an int, and then we're going to end up having to change it a little bit, parse it in another spot to get it to work properly. So it can kind of become a hassle. So we got the closing parenthesis. Then we want another bracket here. And we're going to say return true. And then under the two curly brackets there, we're going to say return false. And then we can do set search results with the search results. And then here we're going to do an else statement. Else set search results with all students. I feel like I got one too many brackets for some reason. One is just kind of sitting out here on its own. Let's do that. I think that'll fix everything. Let me save this, make sure nothing breaks. Looks like everything's running all right. Yeah. So let's try and see if this works yet. Nope, not yet. So we don't have our on-click event or anything in the button yet, so that makes sense. And then we got to put our drop down together. So let's put our on-click event on here first. And we'll call that method we just created, or function we just created. So if you scroll down to our search students button here, we're going to do an on-click event. And we're going to end up calling that method search students. Students, so we'll save that. Now we'll try, let's refresh. We'll try by fellows. And that should hopefully get her. Still not. Let's see if we got some issues going on. Console, I'm not seeing. There we go. So we got some errors. Search results is not a function. Line 52, search results is not a function, so line 52. Search results is not a function. Search student, search results. Also want to do with that. Oh, this should be set search results, I believe. Set search results. We'll save that. Refresh that. It should clear our console out. Let's see if we can search again. Still have some issues. Surprise, surprise. Welcome to the world of development. Shouldn't be a big deal. I'm not seeing an issue on there. So give me a minute. Check and see what my issue is, and we'll get back at it. So I think I found what it was. Is we need an on-change event in our text box to show that something went on to fire our event. So what we need here is, if we go down to our text box, our search by first or last name, input type down here, text box. We need our on-change event for that. So we'll do on-change equals curly bracket E arrow function set keywords. And we're going to do E dot current target like we did yesterday. Dot value, and then our value we're going to set as keywords. So let's save that. Give that a try, and hopefully, there we go. That's all it was. That whole time I forgot my on-change event to set the keywords that we're looking for. Yours not working? Okay, we'll take a look, and then after that I'll kind of explain the code, what was going on with it. Pause that here and help Dominic. Alright, so to get back at it, now that we have done our search students, another change that we have to make is if we come down in here into our code, where we do our mapping, instead of mapping all students now, we are just going to map the search results there. So we don't want to map all students now, we just want to map the search results. So now we do the search results that use effectively put in, finds everything. Once the page loads and populates it all, now these search results will just go map through our search result for the students that we're searching for. I need to put my on change back in here. I took it out for a second to look at something, so give me a second to put that back in. Got that back in. And one last thing we want to do is come back up to our saved students. Our saved students, and we're going to add the search results. Oops. As we're going to set the search results in here. So what this does is this use effect, when the page loads, it runs this save student function. Save student function comes in here, gets all the students. It does this set all students function here. That's what allows our page to populate all of our students at one time. Once that runs, it'll run the search results for the students. This method here we created. This method we created, the search students here. We set a keywords array, set it to an empty array. We say if there is keywords in our search box, if there's keywords, take those keywords, make them lowercase, split any of them on a space. So if we have Joe space Blow, it will make two objects in the array, one being Joe, one being Blow, and it'll store them in this keywords array. Then it checks the grad year drop down, and that grad year drop down, it takes the value of it and it'll push it to the end as a string, push it to the end of the array as a string, or actually I believe pushes it on the front. And then if keyword array length is greater than 0, so if there's something in this keywords array, we create a variable called search results, put all students, assign it the value of all students filtered by the student. We do this for the constant word of keywords array, so we go through and pull out each word. We walk through each word of this keyword array. If this word happens to be the student's first name, convert it to lowercase, or it happens to be the last name, or it happens to be this grad year, then we return true and it brings back the data we want it to bring back. If it returns false, it jumps out and it sets the search results with the search results, or it sets the search results as all students. So if we search for something and it's not there, it brings the all students back. If it returns true, it sets the students, sets our search results with the search results themselves. So that's kind of what's going on with that code. I hope it makes sense. That makes sense, Dominic, on my explanation there. So now what we need to do is populate. Oh, I broke something. I lost all my students. Always go to handy F12, see what's going on. I don't have anything broke there, so let me check my code and see what I broke. Give me a second here and I'll check my code. Alright, I bounced my server. Things seem to be working again. Let me make sure I can search. There we go. Clear that. Search, bring it back. So that looks good. So now we got to populate our drop down box. That's what we're going to work down now, our select box here. So we'll scroll down, get to our select box right here, or select. That's what we're going to be working on next. What's that?
That there might be a for loop involved with the whole drop frame thing.
There should not be. We are going to use a different type of map, a way to map it to get it to work, called Lodash. So let's what we're going to do now is in that select, we're going to give it that value of grad year like we were getting ready to do earlier, but we knew it'd cause a problem. So value of grad year. Got to give it an on-change event. Equals VT. Arrow function set grad year. T dot current target. Dot value. Should need a value on that. We have our value set before it, so we don't have to worry about that. We set our value here. We've been setting them at the end. We set it here this time though. So that's all you should need for that there. And now for our options, right under the option here, we are going to put some JavaScript in here, curly bracket, and we're going to do an underscore, and this underscore is for Lodash, and we have to install this Lodash. So let me do a new, if you go look in your node module here and scroll down, I don't think it's installed. So here's a Lodash merge, but that's not what we want. We just want Lodash itself. So if we do a terminal, new terminal, it's going to open a new terminal. We're going to cd into our application, final app, and then we're going to do an npm install and call Lodash, Lodash, and that should run some stuff for us, and you can see it's running, installing some stuff there. You're now seeing our node modules that Lodash installed in there. So that's what we want. We got to go import it, and now since we brought it in, so we'll have to do import, and we're going to import Lodash. They use an underscore like that to show it's Lodash, and we'll do it from Lodash. And all Lodash is, it's an open source JavaScript library, and it helps working with arrays, objects, numbers, and strings a little bit easier. Provides a variety of functions for common tasks, for like iterating over arrays and manipulating, testing values, creating composite functions, but we're mainly going to use it to iterate over this array and map it for us, and have it map these years, the grad years and stuff for us to make it a little bit easier to work with. So we'll go back down to our underscore that we started there. we'll say underscore dot chain parenthesis all students, since that's our original array that we started with, all of our students. And just to make this more clean, I'm going to try and keep everything kind of lined up. Map parenthesis student. I'm going to map that student again from the all students. And we're going to do our arrow function and do student dot grad year. And then we're going to do dot sort dot unique. Those are both methods. And then dot map parentheses, and we're mapping the year. Now we're going to run another arrow function, parenthesis, and then we're going to say option key equals curly bracket year, and the value will equal curly bracket year. And then we'll close that option out there. And inside this, we're going to put the values of year in there for our drop down. And then we want parenthesis dot value parenthesis, and that should be it. So give you a second to type that out, Dominic.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause the video for a second while you type that out, and then when you finish it, I'll go ahead and explain what's going on with all that code. Alright, so what's going on in this code we just wrote? This is for a drop down. The option value here is just a static element. It's our drop down box, list, whatever you want to call it nowadays. It used to be a drop down box forever. So this dash chain, that's a Lodash chain is what it is, and it's a function from the Lodash library. That Lodash we installed, that library that it has there that we put in there, that allows you to chain a bunch of multiple operations together on a collection. Our collection in this case is that all students, that array that we created at the beginning of all this, and it does it so it's in a readable and efficient manner. So the map part of it, it transforms the all students array into an array of grad year values. So this here is transforming this all students. We're giving it this name of student, and then assigning that grad year to it. So the student grad years go there. The sort function sorts the array graduation years in ascending order. So when we look at them in our drop down, they should be from oldest to newest. The unique function removes any duplicate graduation years for the array, assuming that each year appears only once in a drop down. Well, we got multiple ones, and so we're using this map here. This map here to check the year and use that as our attributes to display what years are visible in the text. So that map function is now working on the array of unique sorted graduation years. It creates an option element for each year, setting the key and value to the year and displaying the year as visible text in the drop down. And then finally, the value is the method of the chain executes the chain of operations, returning the final array that's going to be rendered out into the React, so we see it in the options. So hopefully if we save this and look at our drop down now, our drop down should have some years in it. There we go. So all that just to get this year populated. And I believe if we choose a year now, there we go, it should search the students by the graduation year. If we want to do it that way, we should be able to, if we go back to select year and search, it'll bring everybody back. If we do, we'll say J-A-F-F-R-E-Y, Jaffrey 2027. That brings our Claudette Jaffrey back. Get rid of Jaffrey, search students 2027. Is she the only one that we had? 2027. Yep, she's the only one we have. Good, so that still worked like that. So we're doing a partial search with this also, to where if we type in, the guy's name is Bobby and we type in Bob, it should still find it. I have a Toby up here. Let's see if it'll find him. Yep, it finds him by just putting T-O-B in there. So our partial search is working with that too. So now we have the search part working. Let's see if we can search for a newly created student. Go to good old Pikachu, open him up, we'll add the student. Oh, my add student's not working, that's not a good sign. What did I break? Each unique key prop. I'm guessing I broke that with our search, or not our search, but our mapping up here. So let me check that out, see what I did wrong. Get that fixed. Give that a try, Dominic, and see if you're having an issue with it too. Oh, I think I know what I got a fix on it, but give me a second. I'll take a look and we'll get rolling again. So it took a few, but I found my issue. With creating this save students up here, our add student method we created yesterday, we need to change this to save students. Another thing we can check on is in our add student file, our do work function we created, make sure your grad year, wherever you put it at, is a parse int, and pass in that grad year as a parameter through that parse int. because it's technically a string, but we're using it as a number, so we need to put that % on it so we can get it to be a number.
Got it. Then one part you also said to make sure if I have that GSX, which is the same student, on line 25.
Yeah, so the add student function we created yesterday, we want to change that from set all students to save students. So now it'll run through the save students. It'll come up here in our save students function we created. When we create a new student, it'll set it to all students, and then also add it to the search result possibilities that come through it.
Got it.
So now if we save all this, go back out to our site. I'm just going to refresh this for now. Everybody comes up, put in some info, choose my favorite Pikachu, open that, add student, there we go. And now we should be able to search. Let's search for Giggleman. There I am. Go back, search students. I see our Pokemon guy still stays there. I'll search for 2028. Now my year's messed up again, so I'm gonna have to go back and see what's messed up with my year. This is getting frustrating. So let me double check that. And at least our add student's working again. So let me fix our search student. I may have to bounce the server. Let me try bouncing the server first, and we'll see if that works. So let's go in, we'll bounce the server.
So my add student ain't working.
Add student still not working?
No, I mean, it kind of did show at first, but then it kind of immediately disappeared after I clicked the add button.
Okay, I'll take a look at it with you here in a second. Let me see. npm run dev, get our server going. When I say bounce server, it just means kill your server, restart it. And my select year is still not working. So let me take a look at that, get that fixed up, and hopefully we'll be getting close to wrapping this up. So that was just a minor issue. I somehow got rid of the parentheses behind my value here, which wasn't allowing the values to actually show up in my drop down, but now they're back. So let's test this real quick. I think Dominic had an issue. We'll take a look at that next. There's our Pikachu. 2028 is in the list. He's the only one we got, so let's search by that. There we go, 2028. Let's just bring all students back. We'll search by my last name again. So cool, we are back on course. So we're gonna pause here for a second. We'll get Dominic up and rolling, and then we'll start looking at the delete operation, and then we'll probably clean some of this up, maybe make a new component, and then tomorrow we'll kind of wrap everything up with the update. We'll make some components, clean this stuff up, make more components, and then put some style behind some of it, make it look a little better. So hang on a second. All right, now that we are all back on the same page again, hopefully, let's start looking at the delete. So it seems like we got the addition and the search working correctly. So now we want to do the delete. So our app.jsx. we are going to create, zoom in on this for you. So now we're going to create a function, and we'll call it remove student, and we're going to pass in student to delete, arrow function, and then we're just going to do a console.table student to delete, just to make sure this works properly. So for this, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new file. So in source, right click on that, go new file, capital S, we'll just call it student.jsx. Then we can run that RAFCE, enter. I'll get some stuff set up for us. So we have our student, we have return div, and what we're going to end up doing is in this app.jsx, we're going to take our card out of there and we're going to put it into that student JSX we just created. So we want to grab, here we're on app.jsx, we want to grab this div card, go all the way down to the div right after the closing UL. We're going to cut that, control exit out of there. We're going to go into student, and we can just highlight over these div tags here, and we'll hit control V, paste it in there. You good with that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what my problem was.
Okay. So now that we created this student.jsx and we got some of this data in here, we're going to have to import it into our app.jsx. So we'll go up to the top. We'll do an import student from /student. So it's still not happy yet, and the reason for that is because we need to call the component in here. So what we'll do is right under this div with the class column medium 2, key student ID, we're going to call that add student element we just created, or I mean the the student component we just created. So we'll do student slash, I should make our import up here happy, and it does because we're using it now that we imported it. But there's still a couple things we got to do to get it working properly. So we talked about props and how we can pass values from one component to another using props. We can use the props to pass methods back and forth through each other. So what we're going to do here is in our student element that we just created, we're going to add a property, and that's what props are, is just properties. Student equals student, and that is passing our student through, the values for student through, and now we're going to pass remove student. That's the method we just created, the method we created up here, remove student. So we're going to pass that through, remove student, and just have it equal remove student. I spelled it wrong, imagine that. STUDENT, remove student. REMOV student, remove student.
Maybe because it's a function, you get parentheses around it.
What's that?
Maybe because it's a function, and you might need parentheses around it.
No, we shouldn't need parentheses because we're using the JavaScript here to call that method. Remove student, STUDENT. Oh, I know what we need. We need a const here to tell it for our variable, for our method or function name, we had to put that constant there. So now it should all match up. Remove student. Yep, now it's happy. So just had to declare it as a constant. I was just putting the method or function name down there instead. So now we're saying the student element, which is a component, is passing in a parameter or a property student with the value of student, and then we're setting this method, passing this method through remove student with our method remove student. So now if we go back to our student JSX, to get all this work properly and passing through, we got to do the props that we had done before. So we have to do props, and that's saying just pass these properties through. That's the parameters we're passing through from student back into the app.jx and vice versa, app.jx back into the student. So then we need to add props here. So we'll do props dot student image. So that props validation is not a big deal. That comes up quite a bit. I'm guessing there's some extension we can put on to get it fixed, but I'm not too worried about it at this moment. So same with our student first name, student last name, and so on down the list. props should be happy. I hate this unknown word thing that drives me absolutely bonkers because it makes it look like something's wrong with our return, and it's like, what's our issue? Oh no, not a return. That's pretty basic. It just, for some reason, this is an unknown word. I hate it. React is fine, but never used. No big deal for now. Could actually take that off. I think the newer versions, and it won't cause an issue anymore. It used to cause an issue. So now that we have our student stuff set up, let's add a button on here for our delete. So we'll do button type equals, again we'll do button class name equals button danger, since we're deleting. We'll do an on-click event, curly brackets, parenthesis for anonymous function, and we got to call our props so we can get our method from that, or our function. I keep calling them methods and functions, same thing, just different language, so you should say it the proper way. So function in JavaScript, method in C#, Java. So anyhow, we're going to call our function from the app JSX, so we have to use this props to get it to pass through to our student component. So we'll do remove student and then props student, and we'll close our button if it's not already closed, and then here we'll just say delete student. Of course, I got a right squiggly saying it's missing props validation. That's probably going to be missing props validation. Not too worried about that. This should all still work. I think we just need to add a some kind of extension on to get that cleared up. I may have to look into that. I don't like seeing all these red squigglies. They
crash my whole site.
Yeah, they kind of drive me crazy, like we're missing something, even though it's not bad like that. So now that we have that, let's save it. See if we got any errors. I'll refresh our page. I need to save all because I've jumped around and didn't quite save everything. So save all, and there's our delete student button we just created. Look like you're having an issue over there, Dominic.
Yes, sir. Coming from line 14. Most I can that button I cleared out.
Okay, we can take a look at it. So now we should be seeing our delete student button, and let's see if it actually works. Nope, not yet. So let's see what's going on with that when we get a second. But we'll take a look at Dominic's real quick to see what's going on with his. Clicked on the button, our delete didn't work because I didn't have anything in there yet. So let's take a look at the code again. Go back to app JSX. Here we have our remove student, console table, student to delete. We should be able to look at our console, and it should show a table. There we go. This is the table. That's who we clicked on to delete. Rosanna Heaviside. So we clicked on her to delete. We click on another one. There's the table I was more expecting to see than the object there. But it shows our ID, the first name, last name, email, so that all looks good. That's what we want to see. You getting that, Dominic? Well, if we look at it, our code for the moment, all we have in this remove student method or function that we created, is all we have is this console.table. So when you see this console keyword here, we know we're printing it out to the console. So just if we did yeah, so console.log would just whatever we type in here. Hi mom. So if we save this, I'll put a semicolon behind here just to stay in that habit. Control S, save that. And then I click on something. I'll click on a different one. There's that hi mom from that console.log we put in. Well, we're doing console.table, so we're putting a table into the console. And that's what this is here, is the table that we're putting in there. So here's our index, the stuff in it. Here's our values for it all. So you can see we have our IDs. If we were displaying our IDs, and here again, you'd be able to see the ID here. Here's the person's first name, the person's last name, their email address, the image tag that we have to show their picture, and their graduation date. So that's what we're seeing. You seeing that table in your console? Just hit F12 for your developer tools and then go look under console tab. You see that there? All right, so we know our button's working now because we're doing that console.table. So the button's working, now we just need to put the logic behind it to actually get it to run properly. So if we do comment that out there if you want, and save it if you ever want to use it again. But we're going to do constant, and we're going to say updated student array equals all students dot filter student ID not equal to student to delete dot ID. And then we'll say save students, and we're going to pass in this updated student array. So we have that, what that's doing. Is saying create us an updated student array, filter out the students whose student ID matches the student ID, delete. If it is, delete it. If it doesn't match, then keep it in and don't delete it. So that updated student array will contain all the students except the ones that matches that student to delete ID. And if it doesn't, or if it matches that student to delete ID, it'll remove it and return everybody else from this updated student array minus that person that we deleted. So now if we save this, back out here and delete a student. They're starting to delete. If you get worried and you're afraid you're going to delete them all, hit refresh and they'll all come back, because we're not really storing these values anywhere yet in memory or anything like that to hold on to when we delete them. So as you delete through and refresh, they'll come back. Same when if you create a student and refresh the page, we lose that student too, because we're not saving stuff yet locally or anything like that. So that gets us our create, our read, and our delete functions done for our CRUD operations that we're doing. Tomorrow we'll do the update, and then we'll get it to where we can deploy it out onto the web, and you can see this actually work. You can show your friends and your family the cool stuff you're doing in your application and web development class, and then you'll be able to just work on your final for the last couple days and get it up and running. Everything working all right over there?
Yeah.
All right. Any questions on any of the code or anything?
So far, no, not yet.
I've been trying to explain the bigger chunks as we go to make it understandable.
No, I kind of want to kind of like write down a sticky note about the whole, okay, so how do I do my server again, like jazz, like, like each step, how to do it.
To bounce your server or restart it?
Basically, it's like, okay, I found my computer, it's like we kind of get it back to starting out, because I'll kind of have a little sticky note.
Yeah, I would definitely make a note of that, because like when we start doing this final and stuff, I won't be able to help you code a lot of this out, so you'll have to know how to get your server up and running and stuff by yourself and all that. So
how did you do it? You did like npm?
yeah, I'll go ahead and stop the video here. I will post this out on YouTube later today with the first part, and then like I said, tomorrow we'll wrap everything up, we'll get the update done, and we'll wrap it all up.